In the last video, we talked about public and private documents, and I promised that we were going to talk about how to tender those documents in this video. Now, there's already a video on how to tender documents, so please watch that video. I'll link it in the description box. But today, I want to talk about how to tender public documents in particular. Public documents. I've given examples of public documents. In most cases, you would agree with me that it's not so easy to get original copies of public documents for the purpose of tendering them in court, because in most cases the governing body or the official authority that issued it or that emanated from will keep that original in their custody. But in some instances, ordinary citizens can have public documents. For instance, a marriage certificate emanates from the registry, marriage registry. It's a public document, but it is executed or signed in triplicates at the point of getting married. So a copy is kept with the registry, then one is given to the couple, and if it's a marriage celebrated in church, one is given to the church and kept with the church. So in that instance, a private individual has an original copy. But in the instance where a private individual cannot have an original copy, for instance, a gazette, you will most likely only get a photocopy of the gazette, because the original will be with the government and places where the government has authorized it to be kept. Or even in the instance of a document like a marriage certificate, which is public, but you have the original. In the instance where you lose the original, cannot find it, you will still need to tender it in court. How do you tender an acceptable one? Because original documents are acceptable in court for the purpose of entering them in evidence. But in the instance that an original cannot be obtained, the court will allow you to tender a certified true copy, and that's what we call a CTC, a certified true copy. If you look at the Evidence Act, there's a provision for certified true copies in section 104, and I'll read it out. It says that every public officer having the custody of a public document which any person has a right to inspect shall give that person on demand a copy of it on payment of the legal fees prescribed in that respect, together with a certificate written at the foot of such copy that it is a true copy of such document or part of it, as the case may be. That's subsection 1 of section 104 of the Evidence Act. What it says is that for public documents that are kept in official capacities, if somebody needs it, for their own personal purposes, they can come and get a copy that is certified as the true copy of it, because people can make fake copies. So that's why this provision is in the law. So if, for instance, you want to tender, we now want to limit such personal purposes to tendering in court. So if you want to tender a public document in court and you don't have the original, because documents are supposed to be tendered in their original copies or form in court. So if you don't have the original and it's a public document, you can go to the body, the official body, or the office or authority that is keeping it or that has the custody of it, and then they will do a photocopy for you and sign on it that it is a true copy of the original that they have in their custody. That's essentially what a certified true copy means. So when you hear CTC or certified true copy as acceptable forms of public documents, what it means is that you can go, for instance, if you lose your marriage certificate or you can't find it, you can go to the marriage registry. Then the registrar of marriage will go and photocopy the copy that they have and then sign on it that this is a true copy of the original that we have with us. Now, the section following that section makes provisions on how it is to be signed. And it says that subsection 2 says that the certificate mentioned in subsection 1 of these sections shall be dated and subscribed by such officer with his name and his official title, and shall be sealed whenever such officer is authorized by law to make use of a seal, and such copies so certified shall be called certified copies. So most people make the mistake. If you can't find the original copy of a document, maybe a certificate or a public document, you cannot just go and make a photocopy and tender it in evidence. The other party will object, and the court will allow the objection, because that's not the provision of the law. But what you get is a certified true copy. Now also, the other party might decide to object if it is not certified according to the provision of the law. And here, we know what the provision of the law is. That on that document, I'm reading the law now, on the foot of the document. So if you put it on top of the document, a cantankerous party might object or call the attention of the court to it. And they will be right, not even cantankerous now, they will be right, even though it might appear petty. But now it says on the foot of such a copy, that's where it is to be certified that it is true. And now, the official or the officer that is certifying it must be the one that has custody of it. So if you want to certify a marriage certificate, it must be certified by the registrar of marriage. If you want to certify a police report, for instance, it must be certified by the police officer that has it in custody officially, not just by any police officer or not just by any registrar that you meet in court, for instance, in those instances that I've given. So the registrar or the police officer or the officer that has it in custody will put his name, his official title, that is, I am the DPO of this station, or I am the registrar of marriage. You put his official title, his name, his seal, and where a seal cannot be obtained, they usually sign, so a signature. But in most cases, they have a stamp. So the stamp, we already have all these things: the name, the designation, and the place for signature, and the date. So that's usually what's contained in the stamp, which they use to certify that a copy is true. So once it's so certified, it's a certified true copy. So you can come to court and tender it. So you lay a foundation when you want to tender it. You'll find that in the video on how to tender documents. So you don't just come and tender a certified true copy just because the law says it's an acceptable form of a public document. No, you have to tell the court that, oh, the original got lost. It was lost in a fire outbreak, or maybe it was misplaced, or it's in custody of someone that's not in Nigeria, or we can't find it. Just lay a foundation as to why you cannot produce the original, where ordinarily you should have the original. But if it's with the government, or if it's with a public office, you can say that, oh, it's a so and so document. They don't release the original. It is kept in so and so place, but we have obtained a certified true copy, and here it is. And then you tender it once you've shown the other party and they have no objection. So you tender it. Just make sure that you certify it according to law, and then you can tender it, and it will be entered for you in evidence. So if you look at section 105, it summarizes what I've been saying all day, and that is that certified true copies are acceptable forms of public documents in evidence giving and tendering in court. So that's all I have for you in this video. I will see you in my very next video. Toodles.